So, as you could tell, I just got through running across the cornfields with my dogs to come over here on a Saturday and say hi to everybody. So I'll get better at this. We'll get higher quality in the editing room because I do all my own production too. Anyway, again, love you guys. Go say hi to somebody. Just wave at somebody. Start there. Just wave at some people. Younger people, older people. I did that backwards, didn't I? Younger people, older people. Just go out and say hi. Let's start. There was a hashtag that Barbie wants to get started. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look through some of the old films. We need to be pulling together and discussing these items, and not be afraid to have a dinner. What do they call it? Table dinner, or around the dinner table. Politics is a device to keep this country moving forward. I know that all the people in the middle class want this country to keep moving forward. I also know that the politicians we have currently in place on both sides of the aisle, some way more than others, but we have a situation now where the politicians don't want us to necessarily move forward. They want, and our education and our information to be lower and lower so that they can control more. They have very perfect lives, really. And these are the things we don't understand. You know, we need to really be able to have the courage and have the patience to be looking at our politicians more directly, with more information. As I've said before, we have a utopia coming, and if we don't have control over our politicians, as that utopia comes, then we won't have that utopia. We will be moved into whatever needs that the country has, without the rewards. This middle class of America has been stronger and done more than my own. I know I'm biased, but than any other. As a matter of fact, all the middle classes, around the world, is what the economy is built on, and we have no say at how that money is spent. Hey folks, how you doing? Good morning to you. This is Open Mic Friday. We already got 21 people on. I appreciate you all being here. Hope we ask more questions today. I've noticed last few shows, a lot of people on, but limited amount of questions. So today's going to be a tough day for me, just so you know. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So this is where faith meets fire, truth meets transformation. Every Friday on Insights and Straight Talk, we take a breath, we look back, we remind ourselves why honest media, because reflection is real. That's why honest media is important. Reflection is rebellion. In a word, that keeps racing past its own heart. This week was about renewal, faith, family, and rebuilding community from the inside out. Monday, the courage to begin again. Producer Barbie opened the week with Barbie-isms, the courage to begin again. This is Barbie-ism number 4. Monday will be number 5. And that one hit me hard. Starting over isn't failure. It's faith in disguise. She reminded us that rebuilding your life doesn't have to look perfect. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's lonely. But saying, I'm not done yet, that's sacred ground.
That's faith wearing work boots. Tuesday, purpose through perseverance. Then Karen Kambourian came in with a quiet honesty. She reminded us that purpose grows through perseverance. A life coach doesn't hand you answers. They help you find your own. In your finances, your relationships, your confidence, your calling, your story isn't finished until you're done writing it. She's going to be on the show at the end of the month again. And we spent a lot of time on rebuilding from divorce with her this last Tuesday. We're gonna settle in a little bit on that, but it's it's not just after divorce. It's finances. It's, do you feel stuck in neutral? We'll talk more about that in upcoming shows. On Wednesday, faith in motion. Faith isn't a feeling; it's a verb. It's a father working two jobs. The mother showing up when she's totally empty. The neighbor who keeps believing community matters. That's the America I see. Not the loudest voices, but the faithful ones who still are doing the work. Thursday, Regeneration School Project. Thursday, we checked in on the Regeneration School Project. Students planting gardens, designing businesses, building hope from scratch. When we invest in people, I said, we regenerate possibility. That's not a slogan. That's a blueprint for trust. Friday, where faith meets fire. And now, Open Mic Friday, no scripts, just truth, because sometimes faith really does meet fire. Here's the hard part about today. It's a personal moment. Family isn't easy, and sometimes it's your biggest pain. Let me tell you something real, okay? Family isn't always easy. It's not all Sunday dinners and happy photos. Sometimes family is your greatest wound. I got a call this week, actually last night, from a family member I hadn't spoken to in years. And I'll be straight with you. I didn't answer the call. The sound of that name cut straight through me. Now look, I've never pretended to be perfect. I wasn't the perfect father, the perfect brother, or even the perfect son. I was standoffish, especially with the three people in that family. Well, four, actually, if you want to really take it in. I kept my distance because deep down, I never trusted their hearts or their souls. They always seemed to show up only when there was something in it for them. And that distrust, it shaped me. It made me guarded. It made me question whether blood really is thicker than water. So, see, I'm not a man who loves conflict. At my core, I'm a forgiving man. I build. I move forward. I try to see the good. But this one's ripped me open. Something I thought I had healed from. Because what they did, what that side of the family did to my mom's legacy, still tears me wide open. You've heard me mention a little bit on the show, just allude to it. It's like watching something sacred get dragged through the mud and being powerless to stop it. When that call came through, I saw nothing but red. No grief, no nostalgia, just fire. I didn't pick up. I sent a few texts, mu- much sharper than they needed to be. And I fumed for hours. Every word felt like gasoline on an old wound. And here's the truth, okay? For now, I don't want them back in my life. Not today, maybe not ever. Maybe someday after I settle into myself, after I heal a little more, maybe then, but not now, because I'm not about to fake. I'm not about to be fake about forgiveness. I'm not going to call it grace just to make everyone else comfortable. Healing doesn't come from pretending. It comes from telling the truth, even when it's messy. And the truth is, sometimes blood isn't thicker than water. Sometimes the family that drains you isn't the one that raised you. And that's realization. It hurts. It's disappointing. It's lonely. But it's real. And maybe right now, what I need most is a whole lot more Barbie-isms, more gentleness, more grace, more room to breathe, because forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a slow climb back towards peace. And maybe that's where faith truly meets fire, not in church pews, but right in the middle of our own anger, your own heartbreak, when you realize you're still bleeding from something you didn't deserve. That's where transformation begins. Not when you've conquered the pain, but when you finally admit it's there. Transformation isn't pretty. Transformation isn't peaceful. It's gritty. It's grace in a storm. It's learning that you can love people from a distance and still wish them healing. It's realizing that protecting your peace doesn't make you cold. It means you finally understand the cost of chaos. And I'm telling you something. I didn't start learning that until later in life. Now, until I began working on myself from the inside out. And the truth is, only through you, our live audience, our supporters, this community, our community, have I even begun to heal. You know, you've given me a reason to keep showing up, to speak instead of shutting down, to believe that broken pieces can still build something beautiful. Every week, through these conversations, through your comments and your courage, you know, you've helped me heal, forgive a little more, trust a little deeper, and keep moving forward. There's a lot of story behind that. And a lot of you know that these words are deeper than you would imagine. That's what this moment is. It's not a show, but it's shared healing. Because truth does, it meets transformation. That's why Insights in Straight Talk really stand for. Not perfection, but honesty. Because truth, when it meets transformation, doesn't just change, it connects us. Producer Barbie said it best this morning. Honesty is the oxygen of community. And she's right. Honesty, even the hard kind, is what keeps the great middle class breathing. Honesty even the hard kind, is what keeps the great middle class breathing, as I said. We're the ones holding the line between chaos and compassion, between division and rebuilding. We can't stop talking. We can't stop caring. And we sure can't stop believing that when we're building here, that what we're building here together still matters. So just in closing to this monologue, folks, faith meets fire, truth meets healing. You know, if something I said today hit a nerve, good. That means you're alive. That means the fire in you still burns for something better. Faith isn't quiet. It's the whisper that says, try again. It's the courage to rebuild, to forgive, to plant new seeds, even when last season's crop didn't make it. That's the work of renewal. That's the quiet spirit of the great middle class. And that's why Insights and Straight Talk exists, to remind you that you're not alone in the rebuilding. So until next time, hold your faith, tend to your fire, and keep walking forward. Keep walking towards your transformation. I'm Rodd Duff, and this is Insights and Straight Talk. Thank you. So let's do this together. Let's keep moving things forward. Let's subscribe. There's 164 people on. Please subscribe and keep this movement in the beautiful place and momentum that we have. We're right on the edge of 10,000 subscribers just here on YouTube. So let's keep this thing moving. Let's keep it going. And thank you all for being here today. It's Open Mic Friday. You know, we're talking about what the show was over the last week, the different topics. We've got some great speaker guests coming in next week. Full lineup again. And it's because of you folks that these guests keep wanting to come on and thrive in this environment that you all build. All 200 of you right now, just hit 200. Appreciate you. Come in, get your coffee warmed up, and let's get into the reflection of this week. So, in my personal moment, I just want to take some of that on. You know, as I said, I have never been. You know, we talk about parenting and the tools, and people ask me in the reflection, the Regeneration School Project, you know, I say it's not just about learning or education or math or science. What moment this week stood out to you? All right, well, Adam, I'm going to answer this a little differently than you would expect, because I know you're in the reflection or the description. We talk, you know, about different moments and so I was just perfect timing on this question, Adam. I appreciate it. Oh wait, I want to do something here. Show comments on the screen. I like that better. So we talk about a number of different topics on this show. We go AI, crypto, blockchain, automation, and a number of topics along that line. We get into finance. In that same lane is finance itself, investing and so forth, because we're moving into a new world and new money. I think I like the hat on better, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Hat on? Nah, too many shadows. I gotta do something about some of these lights. God, I have such a fixation on the lights. So at the end of the day, there's that lane. There's self-compassion and community, and in that lane is kind of where Emma sits in the Regeneration School project. And I'll get to my point in a second. And then we have mental health and fixing yourself from the inside out, which kind of has a similar theme as the Regeneration School project, and I'll tell you why. And then the final lane is it's called the Jetsons are coming, and it's really that the Jetsons are already here. My son and I, Brandon, were talking last night. He called on his way back from picking up Maddie, so I got to talk to Maddie. She calls me Papa, which I love. And oh wow, there's 210 people on. Welcome. Please subscribe. Please. So to get back to Adam here, and the Jetsons are coming in, and that's all that AI movement and the way that the world and jobs and everything are going to work. He and I were talking last night about it, and there's probably coming forward. I haven't seen this stat, but the world's largest employer is like Walmart, I think it is, and they employ over 2 million people, and they put a hiring freeze for the next 3 years. Several other large companies like that are doing the same thing, and it's because there seems to be a recession on its way. I'm thinking, okay, recession, how can that be? I know how it could be, but I mean, you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. Because the economy is very strong. There's a lot of other other countries building plants here in the U.S. I think our administration's done a great job on that. He's out there in front taking all the arrows, but it is what it is. And I don't have a dog in the fight. So I just want whoever our president is to be successful and be working for us. I think he checks all those boxes. But as I always say, trust but verify. So back to Adam here. The moment that hit me, you heard in my opening monologue. It was this realization that I haven't healed yet. That I have my own rebuilding to do. I've come a long way, but and through you guys I have. But at the end of the day, I still have so much work to do. I have so much work to do because this phone call that I got, which I'm assuming was but I don't know, because all I did is I was the only thing I did is he called, then he called again, and on the second call I said, hey, I'm just picking up because I want you to know I don't ever want to talk to you again. Hung up and then went back to nasty little text, or sharper than they needed to be for sure. Text and so it was that was a moment that I realized that I need this show more than you guys need this show. And we talk about how it's honesty and healing and authenticity. That's why I moved here to Mangum. One of the main reason one of the bigger reasons I moved here, because it's a small rural town. And, the neighbors here and the people here, they've all reached out, and have accepted me, not only accepted me into this community, but reached out with a helping hand when it's been needed, for no other reason than just to be showing some kindness. And so people always ask me, why the heck Mangum, for real? And so I go through that story, and then how do you like it? Because I've always lived in large communities. I think the smallest community that I've ever lived in is like that 40,000 people town surrounded by 100,000 people towns and 250,000, millions of people within a 10-mile drive, because unlike out here, 10 miles isn't 10 minutes. It's more like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It depends on the traffic, obviously. Here, the traffic jam is 2 cars at a stoplight. and I usually walk wherever I go, because one, it's always close. Two, it's very healthy for you. We talked about fitness. Let me make sure my phone is off here. Health and fitness. And so the moment that really struck me the most was that coming together of this communication, or lack thereof, because I realized I need you guys more than you need it. I always talk about how I learn so much, and I get free advice, input from professionals every day, and that's special. By the way, we are streaming to Facebook. We are streaming to LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. For some reason, Instagram bolted on me, and I tried to fix it in the opening monologue, or before the opening monologue. But when the opening video comes on, I've got like 2 minutes there, and it wouldn't. It wouldn't do it. It would not happen. No wonder, because that happens every once in a while, and something in the stream key gets messed up. But yeah, Adam, I'm going there with that. We have still right around 200 people, a little over 200 people. We're 30 minutes in, and I'm working on the Regeneration School project. I'm working on our Substack. And Substack, by the way, it's in the description. If you guys would sign up for our Substack, our newsletter, you get more information, and it's free to sign up. So I'm just trying to continue to spread this word, and I've got a couple of other shows that want me to be guest on their show. Next in 2 or 3 weeks, we have a woman that's you're going to want to hear from, and it's a show where she helps aging women of their golden years to regain the confidence in relationship. And I was looking at some of her background. She reached out. Well, one of her people reached out. Beautiful writer, just beautiful intro to her name's Nikki, to Nikki. And I was like, okay, this is I like this. And then I started doing some research on Nikki, and she's quite popular. A lot of followers, been on NBC a number of times, the Dr. Phil show. So it's going to be an episode you're going to really want to sit in on and ask some questions. I'm excited about it because at some point, I just want to continue to build on my own life, and all of these experiences really come in and help develop the person that you are, or in this case, that I am. So, Adam, I think the biggest moment of today was the fourth Barbie of this week, I should say, the fourth Barbie-ism coming together in that moment last night, and then connecting all the dots and having a realization that I need you guys so very much. And without you, I'm a much, much lesser man. And this show is a healing for me. I'm just wearing this scarf because I'm worn in forever. It's not cold at all in here. As a matter of fact, I'm getting a little warm. But Adam, I think that's the main point of my answer to your question. So the adventure show. Oh, I haven't seen you guys in a while. You come on for a while, and then I haven't seen you, and then I'm glad to have you back. How do you stay grounded when faith meets fire like this? Yeah, I know. I this is the show for me to give you an honest answer there, necessarily. I mean, I'm saying that cheek and tongue, but how do you stay grounded when faith meets fire like this? Yeah. Last night I wasn't very grounded. This call came in at 11 o'clock my time. I was in bed. I was asleep. I get up really early in the morning, so I usually try and get to bed, by 10 at the latest, if not maybe even 9ish. Just kind of drift off with my dogs in bed and have a peaceful evening. It's weird though. I've been actually remembering dreams that I've had. Talked to producer Barbie about that 4 or 5 days ago. One that I still think about, and she, So here's the dream. There was a person. I don't know who that person was, or it was kind of not shady, but it was vague. There was not a real clear description in my mind of whoever that was. I think it was a male, older male, but we were talking, and all of a sudden I reached to my ear, and like a cartoon, if you picture a cartoon, started pulling this it felt like it was this wide, and like pulling it out of my ear, and on and on and on, and then the dream, it either ended there or I don't remember any more of that dream. And she told me, and I thought, I said, what do you think? Because she's very prophetic at a number of things, and a number of things in that environment, meaning archaeology, astronomy, holistic health, working out for your mental self, and dream interpretation. And there's 2 of them that I've ever had in my whole life that I remember. One was when I was a child, and it was a recurring dream for years. And I don't know if we were living in Fallbrook at the time or not, but the dream, there's this road in Fallbrook that comes out of the town, and then it's really hilly and beautiful there, and avocado, used to be, I don't think there are anymore, but avocado trees, avocado trees, awesome avocados. I fell in love with avocados there. But this childhood dream was coming around the corner on this one road that I know, and it drops off quite a bit there. But as we were coming around the corner, I don't remember actually being in the car. All I remember from the dream is me being maybe 12-ish. I think it was actually older than I was, but it was me. And I'm outside of the car, and I never hit the ground, but I just remember this flash of this like older kind of truck. I kind of remember it so much still today. It was kind of dark. I don't remember if it had a square back, so maybe like an old delivery truck or something, or a pickup truck. No, it was anyway. And I was outside of it, kind of in, this kind of, and then it stopped. And it would always wake me up at that point, because I'd start that and then I'd wake up in like a mini panic. And she told me that, especially when children have reoccurring dreams, it's usually some fragments of a leftover life led before. In other words, leaning into reincarnation. Don't know how many people believe that, or if I really understand that, and how that works with my my belief in God, my trust in the Lord. I don't know how that squares with it, but because I've never really thought about it till just now. That's interesting. That could be a big point, Adam. Going back to you, that could be a big point. But that dream I had, and then this dream where I'm pulling stuff out. I think it was like this weekend or Monday kind of time frame. And I asked her that one first, and she gave me such an amazing answer that feels very, very real. That I asked her about this other childhood dream. Well, our conversation went on for, I don't know, an hour and a half or something. She was with her granddaughter on their walk. They walk every day. How cute. One of them is old enough. Riley is her name. And so at what she told me was that in my mind, I have so many things going on, so many worries, so many thoughts, so many concerns. And this is me saying, I need to just, God, it feels so good when you do that. Everybody do that right now. Just doesn't take but a second. Just close your eyes slightly and go. Hold it. I don't know about you, but when I do that, for me, in my own, it's just a wash over my body of a nice, calming feeling. But she said that's what that dream was about. Is I've got too much. Remember, I told you when I had my break, mental break. Okay, year and a half ago now, I think it is, and when I had that, all my life I've been compartmentalizing. This show is kind of like me sitting in a psychologist's chair and going over and going through my life, which has been in so many ways amazing, and in so many other ways self-destructive and destructive to me. What built me is a lot of things, but at that time, back in May 6th, the evening of, all those compartments, all those boxes just blew, and I lost it. And that was the beginning of where we are here today. But when those compartments, that compartmentalizing, I think we're kind of leaning back into this, where I've got all these worries, I've got all these stresses, I've got all these, we all have them to varying degrees. And for me, having that dream and then needing to ask producer Barbie about it, because it was freaking me out that I was remembering it the next day and the next day. Wasn't having it over and over again, but it's stayed with me. I think what she was saying is, what she told me is, you've got too much of this going on, and your mind is telling you to let go of some of this stuff. And I think that's God put his hand upon me and said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Keep following your path. Oh boy, it feels good to say this. Follow your path and do the things, and don't let these other things, for they too shall pass. Right? Don't let these other things tear you up like they're tearing you up. And that was a really, really, really good thing to hear. And it was very exciting. And so I if you're happen to be on, probably not. She's out in California, a couple hours behind us. But if you're on producer Barbie, once again, I really appreciate it. So that's a long way of saying that's how I stay grounded. I need this, right? So when faith meets fire, that's something you have to walk through. It's part of your journey. We always say this: life isn't a straight line. In some cases, it's a swirl, and when you come back around, you're coming back with more experience, more intelligence, maybe, but you're not starting from the beginning. You're starting from that last place, and that's very encouraging. It's very, very, very encouraging. So that's how I stay grounded. You guys, and where staying grounded comes from is nature, the ground. You should always, every once in a while at least, or preferably every day, you should take off your shoes and put your feet on the ground, in the grass, preferably in some woods. The more nature, the better. So that's where grounded comes from. And it's literally grounding you from here straight down into the ground, just like electric. We all have vibes. God, man, that's another thing Brad and I talked about. We talk a couple of times a day typically, and we talked a lot last night. Except Maddie was kind of like, "Hey, Dad, I think Maddie wants to spend some time with me," and so she and I talked for a little bit. We all three talked a little bit, baby talk, it's fun stuff, and it's so cool being a grandparent. So much less difficult than being a parent. I think when you're a grandparent, that's the point where you're getting the candy, you're getting the reward for going through the hard stuff. Because I don't have any reason to have nothing but fun with my grandkids, and that's the way it should be. So that's how I stay grounded. All right, thank you very much, guys. And then another show here. Wow, I haven't seen you in a lot. God, what's it been, like 3-4 weeks, James Show? Do you think faith and family are stronger now or under pressure? Oh, stronger now or under pressure? Yeah, I think that being under pressure builds your faith. If you relate that to God, if you relate that to religion, you hear this, right? When times are good, too many people, the devil starts its work, right? It wants to grab you, and when times are tough, when you're under pressure and you're stressed, that's when people typically become more close to God. Kind of like your parents, right? I mean, on I don't want to compare that, right? But let's use that example. When you're as a child, especially as a young child, when you're having troubles and you're having difficulties, you have the tools as a parent. Your child I'm going to say the dad, right? Just for this example, comes to the father, right? Like to God, and needs that support and relies on them for the lesson, the help, the guidance, all of those things. And so being under pressure definitely brings more faith because it builds faith. When you get through that, there's the a saying that you've got to go through that struggle before one to know that there's a good times. If you never go through struggle, you're never going to understand good. The other side of that, you're never going to understand the reality of the reality. You're never going to appreciate good times unless you're somebody who's never struggled can't. It's like Barbie, one of the Barbie-isms. I think the first one, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? If you don't have that there, then you have nothing to relate to. So struggle is good. Pressure is good because from that you gain the experience to handle it. Because we live life, we're imperfect human beings, and we are working on ourselves and on the world and on our communities. It's check out the Substack, especially the one that dropped today. We talk about a father, working two jobs, kind of like what I said in the monologue, a small business keeping a community, a block in their area going during hard times. All these things that happen in our lives are things that we have, and then we choose how to respond. Does that make sense? And these are the things that are important, and that are what makes us the species that we are. Looks like we're going to kind of wrap this one up here pretty soon. I do want to get to my favorite lawyer in the world, Leah. Where do you see the great middle class heading next year? Well, one of the things that I didn't finish with in the conversation with Brandon is he predicts there's going to be some struggles financially next year, and the reason all this is going is in that AI world, there's jobs that are being shifted. The work in the future is not the amount of people that work in kinds of fields that they do now is going to reduce. And because that's a good thing. Hear me out. As it reduces, it's then evolving. And we're coming in that evolving part. I'll come back to that in a second. But it's a good thing because what we're trained, and this goes back to school, it's also freaking tied together. We go back to this regeneration school project, and school doesn't meet the needs of people today in the emerging world. Work is going to change in the emerging world. What people do for work, for example, as AI really builds and automation and all this, you have coders, people who write code, right? And he said, you know, in the market, I use automation. Everybody basically uses automation. It's called no code or low code, and then there's code. There are 3 different types of how automation is built, right? So obviously the most common for most people, because most people don't know how to write code. I don't even know why they have low code. Well, I guess they do. See, low code is when you start writing a code and it helps you finish it because it sees where you're going. So my point being here is Brandon says automation is going to be like this. So an engineer type people would have 5 different automations because they need to be fixed, they need to be repaired, they need to be written, obviously. And so you're going to have managers of bots. And Brandon knows a lot about this. I mean, I told you he started his first job. Well, actually, no, let me step back from that. He started his first business in high school. I think it was junior year, maybe sophomore, junior year, whatever it was. And I told you that story that he, I was going by his room one day and you could hear this kind of sound going on. And I look in and it's just like, I don't know if it's like 4 or 5 computers. And they were going, you know, doing the things that computers do. And I said, and I noticed that he's spending a lot of time on these things. And so I told him, I said, look, son, father and son time here. I'm going to give you some advice, going to give you a little wake-up call here. Look, you've got to get your education. You're spending so much time. I mean, this was when this problem didn't exist, before it existed. Like I said, he's in his 40, just right at 40 now. So this was back 20 some years ago. And I said, you've got to quit playing so much video games. This is not good for you. You're not sleeping as much as you should. And he was an athlete, still is an athlete, but I mean, through high school and in college, he was a really good athlete. I said, so, you know, unless you know of any way you can make any money off this, this has got to stop. And he said, well, Dad, actually, I'm making very good money off of it. I said, okay, whoa, what did you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And he said, well, I write. So what he does is, I forgot which game it is. It's still very popular, but he has bots. And these bots are playing the game, thus building the level of the character up from starting off to whatever point. And the way he got that idea is he had a character that was very, very high. I don't know the terms or any of that, but very, very, very high level. He ended up selling that. Now, this is 20 years ago. He ended up selling that. Somebody had asked him, hey, would you ever sell that character? And he, yeah, I guess. You know, they have communities and all that, had them just like, I mean, he's 20 years ahead of everything that's just now becoming commercialized, let's say. His generation, right? My generation has always built stuff that they could take advantage of. It's kind of funny. Now they're building stuff that I can take advantage of. Kind of a reverse role, right? Because, you know, my generation built the internet, right? Or, you know, it came about during my generation's time. My parents' generations, the TV in space, and black and white TV. I remember black and white, and then turning into color. They went from radio to TV, technology wise. And then interesting concept is here we have a situation where my generation passed on these technological things. Now there's a shift where my kids' generation is providing us with things that we could never imagine and providing a better lifestyle for us, because automation is not a place to just survive. It's a place to thrive. It makes the little business compete easier with the bigger businesses and brings the cost of marketing programs down, and on and on and on and on. Somebody that I talked to, Jeff, the founder of Leaf and co-founder of Leaf Lab, big dude in the world of websites and all that stuff back in the day. He was way ahead of his time, and we were talking how these evolutions are just coming through so fast and so bold, and so now that generation is providing a better quality of life for people, like for their parents, for their and that doesn't usually happen, really. So that's how fast things are switching, and we have to be available for that and ready for that, for us to build that brighter future. So let's see, what did I do? Where do you see us in the great middle class in the next year? I see AI being much more. And by the way, Elon Musk is alluding to the fact of a flying car. And I've always thought that, when I started with the whole Jetsons thing, I said this is when I lived in Napier. Was it Napier? No, in Oswego. Producer Barbie and I, and I remember I how cars all pull out and then drive down, they're going to work. Now it's going to be like this. Cars are going to pull up and go off to work or wherever. So that's not going to happen next year. There could potentially be some more financial challenges. It's possible. I haven't heard this, but Brandon's a pretty savvy dude, so it's definitely something I want to take more look at. We all should. And back to the point is a recession, and a recession because jobs are going to start not being hired. There's hiring freezes, right? That's one bad thing. And then there's, right now, the job market is beautiful. It's awesome. There's the stock market. And he also said, by the way, he said the stock market's being propped up right now because all these AI companies are like sending money, stock market's going up because this company merged with that company, or this company picked up a big deal. It's how the stock market is basically betting on what companies are going to do in the future. What they're looking at, what they're looking like in the future, and I thought that was a strange thing because those two things may be tied together: the slowing of job hiring, and then the stock market is artificially being propped up, and so that's going to be something that we all need to look at, which would then be in 2025. Yeah, I think there's some uncertainty there now for the moment in what 2026, sorry, is going to look like. And God, that's only a month and a half away, a month and 3 weeks away. It's this year really, especially the end of the year, really flew by fast. So, I at the moment, I'm saying that I think we're going to start transitioning jobs to where people are work, because automation can do stuff that it would take months to do or longer in minutes, but you still need the human interaction. You still need the human directing. You still need the human, because AI is not more intelligent than the human brain. It makes the human brain more efficient. That's not true. It makes what you do using your human brain much more efficient, like a project or a resume writing thing, or a operations and ops manual, uh, keeping data for your maintenance, when you need to yeah, when you need to keep your maintenance, your tools and your supplies up to date, and in that rollover that occurs. A lot of that's being automated now, where you're scanning something and so all that track is coming. We talked about also about when the medical field has what, let's, for example, my chart. um, that digital footprint is going to be, I think, more accessible to us. Like, I can get any of my health records I want just by signing into my chart and do all the things except actually see the doctor. All the things that I want to do as far as the health goes. And so that, I think we're going to see a lot more. And I'm working with Jeff on from the Leaf, the founder of Leaf, to with his team to develop that program so that Regeneration School Project can start having records for people and developing that through. We'll get more on some things that I wanted to talk about with the family and the Regeneration School Project, how all these things are coming together. We'll spend more time on that. I want to spend more time on talking about how that program isn't just about education. I mentioned a piece of this a little earlier in the show. God, I've been sitting too long. My butt is killing me. So we're going to get into the parent side, because, like I was talking about, not all parents have. Well, there's multiple aspects of this. So the children will be learning this fifth core project, and unless their parents are dialed into this, you can fix the child, but that child goes home to their family every day. And depending on the situation, the family dynamics, whatever those things are, that could be a positive adder or it could be a detractor. And in most cases, it's probably a neutral, like, okay, this is new, because nobody's, done this, right? To this point. And so we're going to start building that digital footprint program in some upcoming meetings. We have a discovery meeting coming up, which I haven't booked it yet, so I got to do that. But these are all the things. The shift, I think, will become, to kind of wind up what you're saying here, Leah. The shift will begin in 2026. And what I mean shift, it's already been going on. Like back to Brandon and I's conversation. I mean, literally, automation or AI. I shouldn't say automation. They're two different things. AI has been around for decades. probably back to, I mean, look at Google. That's AI. It's that all those things. If you step back and look at what's been around us, so these things were all cool when they came in. The internet, dial-up. If you guys remember dial-up, all of those things are cool, but and so it's been around for a long time. But I think to answer more poignantly what you're saying here, Leah, or asking here, that next year the great middle class is going to go through a transition to where the AI impact will really start being lived. We'll see it. It'll be more obvious. It'll be that something more. And that's fascinating, because I'm very likely I may even drive a flying car at some point. It's going to be crazy. I always wondered how that would work, but we got that. There's going to be obviously better forms of it, because you're going to have freeways in the sky. The Jetsons are here, folks. So that's our show. That's what we're doing. This is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your host, Rodd Duff, and I am.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.
Click the links in the description.